Okay, so I'm going to be refuting Cole's speech, and his claim is that modern recording technology and digital distribution has a negative impact on the recording industry. His secondary claims are that digital recording technology rids the need for recording studios, digital distribution is bad for the artists themselves and record labels, and that digital recording diminishes the quality of actual musicianship. So I'm going to clear up a few definitions if you don't remember. An audio engineer is a person responsible for overseeing the recording, mixing, and mastering process. Pro Tools is a high-end music production software. Logic Pro X is a complete professional recording studio on the Mac. Okay, so the first claim that he makes is that there is no need for recording studios when a laptop can do all that a studio can do. But nowhere in his speech is there any evidence or statistics showing that there is a decline in the recording studios. He uses quotes from the LA Times that talk about an audio engineer having to shift his work into home studios rather than professional studios. But the quote discusses the poor quality of music instead of the decreasing demand for audio engineers, which doesn't necessarily support this part of his argument. He also makes a claim that because of this, it makes careers such as audio engineers obsolete. The need for audio engineers may be diminishing, but it's not obsolete because a person still needs knowledge and skills in order to make a song sound good. So an article from The Music Entrepreneur published in January 2016 indicates that hardware used in recording studios is complex, and therefore there still is and will continue to be a demand for studio engineers that know their gear inside and out. So basically, in order to make professional music, you need professional knowledge. I'm making a counterclaim. I didn't know if you wanted us to state that or not, but artists who start with digital recording systems eventually transition into recording studios if they become popular enough. So they transition from home studios into professional recording studios, which keeps the demand for audio engineers in place. For example, a well-known band named 21 Pilots, I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard of them, they use Logic Pro X. They got their music out there and they went on to record in larger studios and became really famous from the bottom, like all the way down to the bottom, using digital software all the way to the top. So if you make it big, basically you record in studios. According to John McGraw, in an article titled "The Future of Audio Engineering," even if the use of recording studios are on decline, careers in audio engineering are not obsolete. Many advancements in digital technology of video gaming, television, and movies increase the demand for people with this profession. For example, the speakers in new movie theaters. You need audio engineers to know how to work those speakers and what sounds go best with those speakers. My opponent also makes a claim, and he gives statistics, that digital sales are mainly responsible for the downfall of music revenue. This includes digital sales increase and CD sales decrease from 2000 to 2007. Yet, what's the time? Although overall statistics are correct, it does not necessarily decrease revenue for all artists across the board. Fast Company newsletter indicates that the music site called Bandcamp reports increased revenues and payouts to artists from $100 million in 2008 to $190 million in 2016. This revenue came from both music and merchandise. It's basically an indicator that fans are still willing to pay for music. He makes another claim that says consumers spending money on singles means that they are spending less on albums. But streaming music helps promote an artist, and it leads to more people attending concerts. So the article, Music in the Digital Age by Sadie Stafford, quoted the Black Eyed Peas, in which they said, "We feel that if people download a portion of an unknown band's music and enjoy it, they will eventually purchase the whole CD. The same article quoted Jason Mraz, in which he stated, "I can't yet complain about downloading because of my fan base. I would probably say that half of my fan base that comes to our concerts heard about me because of illegal downloading." So basically, illegal downloading has had a positive effect rather than a negative effect. One counterclaim that I don't know how to say this. New opportunities in the music industry have developed due to digital technologies. One of these opportunities that addresses revenues is the availability of online streaming. An article in the website called LinkedIn indicated that many venues provided live performances that can be sold for commercial distributing, which has created a new source of revenue for the music industry. So the purchase of CDs may have declined, but the industry is still coming up with new ways for digital technology to continue increasing revenue. One of his last claims is that music programs such as Pro Tools rid the need for actual musicians. So basically he's bashing on the fact that you can auto-tune musicians. But I'm challenging this saying by there is no evidence or statistics that show talent in the musicianship is declining, so it's hardly a debatable point. He also says music programs can correct going on with auto-tune, he says that music programs can correct imperfection in timing and pitch of musicians and vocalists. But musicians use these corrections on professional recording studios anyway, so if they can't afford recording sessions, why not just do it at home where it's cheaper? Artists such as Nigo, Rihanna, Selena Gomez, and Beyonce still use auto-tune in the music, even though they have prestigious recording equipment. So even though digital recording studios at home do it, they still do it in the professional studio. So yes, that is how modern recording technology and digital distribution has a positive impact on the recording industry.
The peer evaluation. Thank you.
All right, well, the preview was fine. When you got to the body of the speech, I didn't think you did a very clear job signposting as you got to the secondary issues. You did have a lot of counterclaims that you're presenting, which is not a problem, but you always want to explain where that counterclaim is being applied. And I think that because you had so much material that you're putting in there, that it starts to run together a little bit, and it needs to be more distinctly signified as you're speaking. There's a lot of good evidence in your argument. I think that you do a good job providing proof for the arguments that you're making. There are a couple of places where there's a little bit of analysis of the advocate's argument. I don't really get much discussion of their evidence. There was one place where you suggested that the evidence that they presented was not really relevant to the claim that's being argued there. That was early on in the presentation, and then after that you kind of went on your own examples. I liked some of the examples that you had, and I like some of the inferences that are being made here. For instance, that the new technologies might be utilized by people who are starting off, but then once they reach some level of success, they go to the larger studios. You've got a single example of that. I think that that's a good starting point there. The notion that you know, that there are other systems that are going to require the use of audio engineers. That's okay too, although I think that might be a little bit off of the subject that the advocate was talking about. There might have been a good argument there to make that the audio engineer issue is a side issue, not directly related to the question of you know, the quality of the music or the problems with the recording industry itself. You know, your example about Bandcamp is, you know, not a bad illustration, but I'm not sure that any of those changes, you know, we don't have any statistical information that suggests that the business is comparable, or for example, that interest in a band, because we've got like 3 or 4 of these examples that you used, interest in a band that's increased or a performer that's increased is compensated for whatever loss of revenues they might have had. I'm glad that Jason Moran's feels like half of his audience came to him because of illegally downloaded music, but he could probably get away with half the audience if he had the music, if they paid for the music originally in the first place. It maybe wouldn't be that big a deal. So it's a little, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I think you need to give us a little bit more detail. I got to shut this down because you went 7.5 minutes, and that's a little long for what the assignment was. Thank you.